What is going on, everybody? Carson Spivey here with Assisted Living Facility Launch. And today in this video, we're going to be breaking down exactly how in 2025 you can open up a residential care for the elderly in the great state of Colorado. Guys, I got the luxury helping people nationwide of peeking into all these different markets and really, figuring out what are the best markets to open up these different kinds of care agencies in. Because I myself am an operator. I want to expand my services as well in 2025. I'm in Southern California, but now that I've really kind of gained my bearings on the industry, I'm curious into expanding into different states. Colorado is 100%, I can confidently say, one of those states. If I was going to go the residential care for the elderly route, I would 100% do it in the state of Colorado. Hence why I'm making this video today to show you guys exactly what it takes. So we're going to be breaking down three main things in this video. So the first, profit and loss. I've spoken to countless placement agencies about what these private pay rates are going for. Okay, so we're going to be talking about that first. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to break it all down for you so you guys can see the numbers through and through. Second, we're going to be talking about the zoning requirements. Thirdly, we're going to be talking about the licensing, process and procedure. Okay. As always, if you get a ton of value from this video, click the link in the description so that you can book a call with my team over here at Assisted Living Facility Launch so that in the next 3 months, we can get you guys from having a conversation to making the tens of thousands of dollars a month that I'm going to show you in this video. So again, if you get value from this video, click the link in the description right now to book a call with our team so that we can show you exactly what we do and exactly how we're going to help you, become cash flowing, operational, making all this money, and doing a great good in your community. Okay. All right, let's get into it. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We're first going to be talking about the profit and loss in Colorado. Okay. Alrighty. So I've spoken to countless placement agencies in the state of Colorado. So we're just going to be breaking down the Denver market in particular. Okay. We'll be talking about the biggest market in the state of Colorado. Market research is definitely important, and that's kind of the first thing we do. So obviously, Colorado Springs, for example, is going to be different. The rates are going to be different than they are in Denver, but it's it's important to note that whatever market we're in, we're going to have to figure out the rates when it comes to private pay populations. Oftentimes, we're calling the placement agencies to see what the going rates are. Now, we're just going to be talking about the Denver market right now. So in the Denver market, private pay rates are starting at about $7,000 per individual per month. Okay, that is at the lower end, getting into $7,500, $8,000. Now, if you're providing specialized services for individuals with memory care, dementia care, Alzheimer's, those rates are getting higher into $8,500, $9,000, all the way up to $10,000 at the high end. Okay, so why I like Denver is because the real estate's cheaper than it is here in Southern California. The rates are higher. Where I'm at in East County, San Diego, the rates, max are going up to like 7,000, 7,200. Whereas Denver, it is much more. Okay, they are in dire need of services. So from all the placement agencies I've spoken to, they are getting 2-story homes filled. Okay, for lesser ambulatory, individuals like the elderly, I would recommend having a ranch style single-story home with a ton of, accessibility requirements. They're saying if you put a stair lift in, we're getting these homes filled because we are so undersupplied at the moment of residential care for the elderlies, and that there's 70 million baby boomers hitting assisted living age within the next 10 years. That number is just going to just keep expanding and expanding. Okay, so that's another reason why I think, Colorado, Denver, for example, is a great market to open up in. Okay, so honestly, we're going to go middle of the road here, and we're going to say serving six individuals at $8,600 a month. That is what we're building our, estimated profit and loss statement on. Okay. So, month over month, I have some vacancies built in here. So the first month, we're operating, out of 4 out of 6 individuals. And then, there's about 4 months in here that we do 5 out of 6 individuals. With the elderly population, it turns over a bit more often than, for example, adults with intellectual and or developmental disabilities. Because, if you think about their continuum of care, they're getting older. At a certain point, they're going to need, skilled nursing services. They're going to get that higher level of care. It takes about a month to get the vacancy sort of turned over and filled up again. So that is built into this profit and loss. Okay. So when it comes to revenue, if you look at line 6 right here, line 7, excuse me, you're going to see $8,600 serving 6 residents. At full capacity, we're at about $51,000 a month, leveraging a single family home. Okay. We're going to talk about the zoning requirements. You can license duplexes. So, if you've got 2 duplexes that are 4 beds each, that's 8 residents. We can get into that. If you guys want this profit and loss, simply book a call with us. We will go ahead and give it to you so that you can start flexing your numbers yourself, depending on the real estate that you want to leverage to, run this model out of. Okay. So, annually, this single family home is going to make $575,000. And then this is relevant. We have this built over here because payroll in the industry is just naturally our largest expense. And so depending on, how much you pay your direct care staff, for those people who just want to be owners and want to, hire out the operators, how much are you going to be paying your administrator? So honestly, that should be a bit higher. I think that you should be paying your people well. Okay. And then, based on the number of residents that you have, and then, honestly, we're doing, staffing ratios. It's much more specific with these federally funded populations, but with private pay, Colorado isn't super stringent. So how we have it is if it's just regular assisted living, you're going to be staffing 168 hours a week of direct care staff. And then if it's memory care, it's going to be 200 hours a week. Okay. Got it. So coming over to our expenses, we got bookkeeping, HR at $500. TV services, Netflix, Hulu at $50. We're not going to do auto expense because really with RCFEs for the elderly, I would say that with other populations, it's important to have a vehicle. They're younger, they're more ambulatory and they're more energetic. So you got to get them out and about in the community. With the elders, it's not so much. So we're not going to be discussing auto expense. Dues and subscriptions, so things like QuickBook, your payroll, HR systems, all that's going to run you about $200 a month. Fringe benefits, so we're not doing employee benefits. We're not doing independent contractors. We don't have auto insurance. Your general and professional liability are going to run you about $208 a month. Commercial property insurance is going to be over $600 a month. Let's say that your debt service on the home is $7,000 a month. Guys, I like to run my profit and losses a bit conservatively. Okay, you plan for the worst and you hope for the best. So your payroll month over month is going to be about $20,000 a month. However, payroll, there's going to be 2 months out of the year where 3 payroll cycles run in the month. And so, that's why 2 months we have it sort of forecasted at this. Okay. Now payroll taxes and expenses, 7.5% of payroll, renewing your permits and licenses, utilities, telephone and internet, workers' comp, food. So our total expenses are going to be, $32,000 a month the first month, and then so month over month it's going to run you about $33,000. So this is going to leave you with a net profit with a net profit of about $18,000 a month. Now we have so the first month, you're getting residents filled in the home, so your first month's not going to be super profitable. Month 2 right here, honestly I should have moved this later down the line, but again, two months out of the year payroll hits 3 times, so those 2 months it's going to drop your profit. However, when the home's occupied, when the home's fully filled and it's a normal payroll schedule, you're going to be netting on the property over $18,000 a month. Okay. I think with this month, so these 2 months right here, we built in that, hey, 1 resident's not here for 2 of the months. So I'm building this profit and loss based on very realistic expectations. I'm not doing this with the homes filled, 24/7, 365 days out of the year. This is, some of the months, we're having some turnover. However, when you work with us, we're going to show you exactly how you can get that turnover filled very quickly so you're not running into those. Okay. So at the end of the day, With an operator, fully staffed, you simply being the owner and leveraging this real estate with 6 residents, single family home, you're making $157,000 a year profit. Guys, that is pretty awesome. Okay. And if you get into, more of a resident count, I mean, we can run it. Let's run it, at 8 residents, 7,800. So 7,800 times 8 residents. Whoops. Really quickly, and then we'll move on. Times 8 residents. Okay. Oops. Right. So for these months, your net profit's getting closer to $30,000 a month. Okay. Great. So now you're aware of that. Now I want to talk about the zoning requirements. Okay. So let's move on. Okay, everybody. So now we're going to be talking about the zoning requirements for a residential care for the elderly in Colorado. And so what I want you guys to focus on is really this second line right here. Okay. 6 or more adults, 18 plus. Yes. All related, no. 8 or fewer adults in an FFHA protected class, or 8 or fewer adults who are 55 plus. Yes. 8 or fewer adults who are 55 plus. Yes. Household living. Okay. If it's no, okay, if it's, for example, more than 8, program of care is a condition of residency. Yes. Residential care. So if it's less than 8 residents, it's going to be household living. If it's more than 8 residents, it's going to be residential care. Okay. So, so now we're going to kind of get into this right here. So Denver's 4 types of residential care zones. Okay, so to keep things organized, the city of Denver splits residential care into 4 types based on the number of residents and level of impact on the surrounding neighborhood. So let us break down each type so that you know where your business might fall. Okay, so small residential care, 10 or fewer residents, allowed in any zone that permits residential use. This includes most single-family neighborhoods. You can serve up to 10 residents year-round, or up to 100 residents for short-term stays, 130 days or fewer per year. There's no spacing requirements, meaning that you can open near other facilities. No community information meeting is required. Zoning permit is required unless you're operated by a religious organization. Best for small assisted living or memory care homes in residential neighborhoods. This is your, typical, 6, I guess in Denver, 6 to 8 bed assisted living model. Type 2, medium residential care, 11 to 40 residents. Allowed in all residential districts, but limited to 20 residents in a low intensity neighborhood, like suburban 2 units or row housing zoning. You must have a minimum parcel size of 12,000 square feet in these zones. Only allowed if the property was previously used for residential care or civic or public use. A community meeting is required in low intensity neighborhoods, and a zoning permit is required. Best for mid-sized homes or converted buildings with proper lot size and history of civic or care use. Okay, type 3, large residential care, 41 to 100 residents. This isn't really us, but I'll break it down. So allowed only in higher density zones like mixed use, residential office, residential mixed use. Not allowed in single family or low density zones. Spacing rules apply. You need to be a certain distance from other large care facilities. 1,200 feet in mixed use, residential office or residential mixed use. It's 600 feet in commercial corridor, mixed use, and Main Street. 400 feet in downtown zones like Arterial Street, General Downtown. Zoning permit and community meeting required. Best for larger memory care or assisted living buildings. We'll go ahead and stop there. We're not going to get into extra large residential care. So really it's going to be just that type 1 and type 2. That's really relevant. So for type 1, again, allowed in any zone that permits residential use. You can serve up to 10 residents year round. Okay, no spacing requirements. So I mean, guys, this can be ran in pretty much almost any neighborhood in Denver. Okay, makes sense. If you have any questions, just book a call. We can get into it in more detail. And finally, let us talk about the licensing requirements. All right, so I'm going to be breaking this down for you all. Okay. So, how to get licensed. This flowchart guides you through the initial licensure certification process. Note that both licensure and certification are initiated by submitting a letter of intent. So everything starts with what is called a letter of intent or an LOI. As the owner or applicant, you'll submit the LOI to the CDPHE, which stands for the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment. This tells the state that you're requesting licensure or certification. At the same time, you're going to be submitting construction plans and fees to the Department of Public Safety for review. And if you're doing new construction or major renovations, you'll also need to submit floor plans and facility documents to the CDPHE, especially if your facility is subject to specific design requirements. These are outlined in the Facilities Guidelines Institute, or the FGI. Step 2, receive application packets. So once the CDPHE gets your letter of intent, they will send you the application packets for either, licensure, state level only, certification, federal level for Medicaid, Medicare, Medicaid, if that's what you're going to decide to take as well, or both, depending on what you requested. So, in talking to the placement agencies, they're saying that everybody that they're getting filled is simply doing private pay. There's not a lot of folks who are opening up Medicaid funded residential care for the elderlies. Now, this would be different if we were opening up a state funded, federally Medicaid funded group home for the intellectually or developmentally disabled. So really, let's just focus on private pay, so state level only licensure, instead of the certification for federal level Medicaid, because with the elderly, oftentimes it's going to be private pay. The rates are going to be higher. It's going to be a more sustainable business model. Okay. So step 3, submit your application. So you as the owner and or applicant will then submit the completed packets. That includes the state licensure application to the CDPHE and the federal form 855 to your MAC, Medical Administrative Contractor. Note, assisted living and intermediate care facilities for people with developmental disabilities don't go through Medicare. They're only Medicaid certified, and they interface with the HCPF, the Colorado Department of Healthcare Policy and Financing, instead of the CMS. Okay, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid. But we're just focused on private pay elderly. Next, step 4, safety and design review. So meanwhile, while you're doing this, the DPS will check your building against the Life Safety Code, or LSC, and issue a certificate of compliance. Simultaneously, the CDPHE will also review your plans for compliance with the Facilities Guidelines Institute, if applicable to your type of facility. Next, step 5, the CDPHE reviews the application. So if something's missing, they will ask for more information. Once all your documents are in and the DPS has approved your building safety compliance, the CDPHE conducts a health survey of your facility. If corrections are needed, so if the health survey or application review shows problems, they will request corrections. You'll need to fix those issues and resubmit. The CDPHE will review, and this loop continues until they approve your corrections. Once everything looks good, the CDPHE will officially issue your state license. You are now legally allowed to operate as a licensed facility in Colorado. Okay, so this is going to expand if you're also applying for Medicare or Medicaid reimbursement. Again, I don't really want to talk about that because I'm not encouraging anybody to go down that route if they're opening up an assisted living facility for the elderly in Colorado. Okay. All right, everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the video there. Again, if you got value from this video and you want us at Assisted Living Facility Launch to help you with all of your state licensing forms and your operational success with us, state licensure acceptance is guaranteed at a minimum. We don't stop until your application is fully submitted and approved, until you're operational. The real fun begins once you're operational, and you're going to learn everything that you need to know to make a whole lot of money and provide a whole lot of good when working with Assisted Living Facility Launch. So again, click the link in the description, like and subscribe if you want to start seeing more of my videos, because we're putting out 2 YouTube videos every single week to make sure that you all can start your own assisted living facility in 2025. If you're in Colorado, I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, book a call, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.